First half hour of our show, we showed you a full-length interview with Mayor Andrew Gillum, candidate for governor. We flipped a coin to determine which interview we'd show first. So now we want to show you our interview with Congressman Ron DeSantis from Jacksonville.
That's right. Both candidates had about 5 minutes for their interviews, and we asked them about the same topics. I met Congressman DeSantis before an event in Punta Gorda, so you'll notice an audience there. Here he is. First, I want to talk about water quality issues. It's something that's on the minds of a lot of Southwest Floridians. What policies do you hope to enact when you get into office that will solve the water crisis?
Well, I want to stop the discharges out of Lake Okeechobee into the Caloosahatchee River that's spawning the toxic algae. So what I'll do immediately, we will appoint people to the water management boards who understand the negative impact that this has had on Southwest Florida's economy, tourism, quality of life, and property values. And so they're going to be people who are going to approach it from the perspective of the people who actually live here rather than one industry or another industry. We're also going to make sure that we have good, solid water quality standards, that's clear, that's in place, and that's applied uniformly. And then we are going to follow through with the water infrastructure projects, particularly the reservoir that is south of Lake Okeechobee. The legislature enacted that in 2017. I was able to get it approved by the White House to be included in this bill, so Trump has signed it into law. So as governor, what I got to do is say, okay, this is urgent for Florida. We need to get this going. We can't wait 10 years. We need to get that up and running as soon as possible. That ultimately will solve the problem because you will be able to redirect the water out of Lake Okeechobee to this reservoir. It can be cleaned, and then it can be diverted to the Everglades and Florida Bay, which need the water, and so you won't have to be doing discharges into the Caloosahatchee or St. Lucie rivers.
Is there a water quality standard that you have in mind to begin?
Yeah, I mean, we put out an environmental paper. Obviously, we're going to have to work with the folks that we appoint, and we want to work with folks who understand the science and understand what's going on so that we're in a good spot.
And obviously, that's going to take some money. So how much funding do you think we should dedicate to this?
Well, some of it will take funding, but some of it, I think, quite frankly, is just making a little bit more sense so we don't have a bunch of different standards and we kind of have one clear standard that people understand and can abide by, and that will work. I do think we will get funding for the reservoir in particular because it has been authorized federally, so I think the next funding bill that comes down the pike will have that money. The state obviously has put a lot of money into it already, so we'll have a big tranche right there that we can really get moving on it.
What is your biggest issue in Florida that you hope to change when you get into office?
Well, I mean, and the environment and water quality, I think, is one of the most urgent.
Is that your number one priority?
It's one of the top for sure, because I think it affects everything that we do as a state. I mean, the water quality is really central to Florida's DNA. It's central to the quality of life. It's central to our economic well-being. It's central to our tax base. I mean, you saw what happened in Southwest Florida when we had the problems this summer. Tourism dried up, people who are fishing guides, they were out. So the business was really hurt, and that means your tax base is narrowed when you have the environmental problems. And so, when you have the environment doing well, the tourism flows, everything clicks better for us. So I think it's something that voters really want to see solved. It's going to require the right vision, and I've put out a very bold statement, policies. That's why I've been endorsed by Everglades Trust, which a lot of Republicans aren't able to do. But it's also going to require leadership. You got to be able to work with other areas to get things done. The federal government, state government, local, there's a bunch of stakeholders, and you got to be able to make it work.
You talked a little bit about this, but can you talk about your environmental record a little bit more?
Well, I'm one of the only people in Florida that's ever voted against subsidies for big sugar. And in fact, when I was running in the primary, I got millions and millions of dollars spent against me because I've been willing to stand up on behalf of Floridians and taxpayers. And so I've proven that I'm willing to do the right thing even when it's very politically difficult.
Okay, moving on to working with your colleagues. So we see this campaign has been very polarizing on both sides. How do you unite people, and how do you plan to work with your colleagues across the aisle if you were elected governor?
Well, I think that there's broad bipartisan consensus for water quality, for Everglades restoration, for beach renourishment, doing things like that. So I don't think that should be a partisan issue at all. The economy, quite frankly, I think, Andrew Gillum's proposal is what's been divisive. I mean, he wants a 40% tax increase. We know that one of the things that's made Florida successful is that we've had a low tax environment. That's why we're able to bring in and expand businesses. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on doing what works, making sure we seize on this historic opportunity, we can get record investment and really expand sectors like manufacturing, finance, technology. That means the economy is stronger overall, but it also means people have access to higher paying jobs. And oh, by the way, when you keep taxes low and you drive investment into your state, you end up with more money to be able to do things like environment, education anyways, because the economy is healthy and that's what's doing it. The states that have gone down the road of higher taxes, they shoot themselves in the foot. They lose business. They can never make it work. They always run into budget problems. So we cannot go down that road. But I think, to be expanding those sectors, I think that's going to be good for everyone. I don't think that that's going to be a partisan thing. I mean, we want to have a really broad-based, dynamic economy here in Florida. We're much better than we were, but I don't think we've reached our potential yet.
All right, well, there you have it. That was both of them.
Yeah, good job. It was nice to see them both speak on the same questions. So
right.
Good job, Sam Sosa.
Well, thank you. Well, if you guys want to rewatch either of these interviews, you can head over to our website. We'll have them up there. It's fox4now.com.